Hey guys, welcome back to the Lou Perez Podcast on the Lions of Liberty Podcast Network. Today, I'm very happy to be joined by my friend. He's a writer, a comedian, an 80s music aficionado, Mr. Robert George. Boom, there we go.
Hey Lou, Happy New Year to you. Are we still saying Happy New Year? I mean,
That's the debate, right?
We're in the post January 6th glow. So I guess we can this is probably like the last couple of days we can actually still say Happy New Year, right?
Yeah. Has ever been any formal ruling on that? Because if you're in April and you're still saying Happy New Year, you're like, you had a stroke? Are you okay?
I may be wrong, but I think generally speaking, you're allowed to say it. It's definitely MLK Day is definitely is like the absolute really last. You post MLK, you're not allowed to say Happy New Year. You're starting to roll closer into Black History Month and stuff. And I have observations about the fact that a lot of the political backlash we've had over the last few years is actually about inflation, Black holiday inflation. The fact that we started out with Black History Month. That was fine. It was just 1 month. It was just 28 days, and then they throw in MLK Day, and so it ends up becoming like almost 6 weeks. And then you get into and then you figure it's done for the year, but then they throw in Juneteenth.
Yeah,
it just gets out of control. So I would say we're allowed to say Happy New Year up until MLK Day, and that's it.
Well, I was born in February 26th. So that's how my parents are true allies. They scheduled their fucking to make sure that their boy was published and was published.
Oh,
That's my parents, authors, published me. My mother.
Well, technically speaking, your parents are your authors.
Yeah.
They are.
They got me. They got me. They got me there. A glorious one.
Perez, what is your? Is it Cuban, Puerto Rican? What is the ethnicity?
My dad is from Argentina, and I think Perez is our real family last name. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is about Spanish culture where they put so many names. It's almost like, are they thinking, okay, we got to get them all out now because there's no telling if we're going to have kids in the future? Like my dad's full name is like Cesareo Luis Germán Amate Perez. Like
they put both. They put both the maternal last name and the paternal last name as part of the full name, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So I'm not sure if because my middle name is Amate Perez, but Amate is it's a surname, and so I'm not sure if both those those surnames came. I don't know, because technically, I guess if we were still doing that, it would have to be like Perez Carter, like my mom's Irish, last name. So. But yeah.
So you're Argentina or Irish Argentina.
It's like on my mom's side, it's like a typical American mutt. It's like Irish, Italian, German. A queen.
Well, in Argentina, there may be some German in there as well too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. For very good reason. Okay, we have to protect those people. Now, Well, this is interesting, Robert, because you're an immigrant, aren't you?
Yeah, I
know.
I'm an immigrant. I mean, I was born in Trinidad, which people are like suddenly discovering Trinidad on the map, and they're saying, "Hey, that's right next to Venezuela." So I'm not trying to keep it on the down low here. Yeah, I was born in Trinidad. My mom and dad split shortly after I was born, and we moved to my mom and I. She was a nurse. Moved to England, and when I was just a year old, and lived there till I was about 8 or so. and she got a job with Mount Sinai Hospital here in New York City, and so we moved to the states, and started my wonderful American journey, and still here. Not wood.
Yeah. Well, it's wild because your accent, like, I mean, you have a straight American accent. Like, I wouldn't think you were from anywhere else than the States.
Well, most people think that if immigrants, if if um if they end up growing up in the culture of the country uh, through puberty, into the 12, 13, 14, whatever, they keep the accent. If they move before, they end up getting the accent of wherever they land. So I was 8, almost 9 when I got to New York, and then we moved from New York to Connecticut to California, back out to New York again. So I moved around a lot, and just ended up absorbing, different dialects and accents and so forth from East Coast, West Coast, elsewhere, and the puberty thing, kicking in, the voice ended up just being a mixture of those things. I can remember though, obviously going back a few years, when I was still in college, or maybe just out of college, and I was working in a bookstore in Maryland, and I was just talking to this no, excuse me, a record store. I was talking to this couple, and showing them the records and the cassettes and the CDs, because it was
Mhm.
that long. It was that long ago, kids. Uh, and uh, the wife asked me something like where I was from, and at that point, I just said, "Oh, I kind of grew up all over, but New York and California." And they said, "Oh, well, we were listening to you, and it sounded like you were like from the islands, like from Trinidad or something." I said, "Whoa."
Well,
Yeah, no, because the only accent that I had when I first came to the States was British, was English, and so the fact that they were able to detect Trinidadian was,
does it ever come out? Like I said, I had when I was in grad school, I taught a couple of undergraduate classes, and there was a kid there, and I got a kick out of every time he said three because he said tree, which I thought was which I just really liked. But it's not like I wasn't teaching a math class, so it was hard for me to get him to say the word tree so many times out loud.
No, nothing quite like that though. Last time I was in England was well, I guess. Oh, actually, it's almost 2 years now. Almost 2 years now, because it was March of February, March of 2024. Since we're in 2026 now, yeah. And I was over there, and I think when I came back, people was thinking that the accent seemed a little bit off, even though even though I was only there for like basically a weekend or so. Uh, but yeah, I know there are a lot of folks in the US who, if they grew up in the South, and then, come up north and lose the accent, and they go back home for, the weekend, and then they're all the y'alls,
Yeah.
and stuff kick in. But
Yeah, I used to have a really thick accent, being from Queens, and I went to high school on Long Island, and,
yeah.
I remember there were times I went to NYU, and there were a couple instances where, like, other students were, in the nicest way possible saying, "What the fuck did you just say?" Like, just not being able to understand what I said. But I never consciously tried to get rid of my accent. Um, but I was in school with a lot of kids, especially from the South, kids from, like, Georgia and stuff that went out of their way, especially the actresses, to lose their accent. And, you know, being in, like, New York now, where it's just so you don't hear a lot of accents unless it's kind of like a person from another country who's here, speaking, like, saying doing the accent. And when I'm on, like, Instagram, the algorithm knows how much I like to watch, like, on the street interviews from, like, the '90s. And, and you would and and you'll hear people. Yes.
Yeah.
Kids. Yeah. That one video of like the kids from like the '80s talk. Tell your sister to stop taking a shower. Or something like that.
There's a piece came out. It was sometime over the holidays. I don't know whether it was the. I don't know whether it was. Remember whether it was a Journal of the Times, but they talked about the fact that the the New York accents are just like all fading. They're like
Yeah.
everybody's getting more of a monotone now, and they were kind of bemoaning that that change in the culture.
Yeah. Like I fear there's going to be a day, probably like this week, where like my 80-year-old aunt, not aunt, Lorraine, and my 79-year-old mother, Flo, were they're the last two people. Yeah, yeah, Lorraine and Florence. Yeah, my mom hates her name for some reason, but I don't. But they're going to be the last two people that pronounce it turlet instead of toilet. And then what? Look at what we lose, Robert. We lose so much. It's like a it's like the last utterings of a tribe. That's
Yeah,
gone.
it looks like everybody's gonna when it comes to accents, everybody's gonna be forget about it. No accents anymore. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
well,
Robert,
listen,
can you hold on one sec? I just got I'm gonna pause here for a second. My wife asked me to open the garage. I'll be right back. That's not a code for it.
oh, it sounds like it. Right. Did you did you open your wife's garage?
I I sure did. I did it very well, Robert.
Well, right, yeah, and it was like only 90 seconds too. That must be a record for you, right?
Yeah, no, I left time to cuddle. So,
Oh, there you go. There you
there you go.
go.
So, yeah, so, 80s music, aficionado, you worked in a record store. You already brought up cassettes. Well, one thing I wanna say about cassettes is there's this, sort of the way that technology advances. And I remember I used to have a number of cassette players that Walkmen that you
Mhm.
would carry around with cassettes. And then once DVDs picked up and really got big, I got a Discman, right? And you would think like, oh, technology is advancing, the Discman is superior to the cassette, but the Discman sucked if you were jogging
Mhm.
because it would always skip. So it would be at a point. I know people are listening; they can't really see it, but it was almost like you're trying to run and trying to keep the cassette, the Discman steady while you're running, so it doesn't skip. Meanwhile, if you had a cassette player, you were good. You could sprint and nothing would happen with it.
That is that is true. I was never cassettes were always kind of second place for me. I should say uh, original pre-recorded cassettes were kind of second place for me. I was big in making mixtapes.
Mm,
We used to use the phrase back then.
yep.
Now we say it's a make a playlist or whatever. But I used to make mixtapes, and I like to get thematic with some of my with some of my tapes because this is like it was the oh gosh, what was it? Early '90s Gulf War, and so like I put together a mixtape about war and stuff like that. So I liked cassettes. I liked cassettes that way. I was never much of a fan though of the Springsteen, Born in the USA on cassette. Not really. For me, I pretty much went straight from you know classic vinyl to CDs.
Yeah, you're bringing back so many memories. It feels like it's just a completely
This is
different era.
yes, folks. This is definitely the two old guys talking about the music and the technology back in the day.
Yeah, because I used to make, mixtapes, and I would have to, like, manually press record, on so you'd have, like I would it would go sometimes I would be playing the CD, and then to put it on a cassette, you'd have to time it right so that you play the CD and you start recording at the same time we're giving it some room, and, there was something about, mixtapes too, in that you could like make them for your friends and stuff. Or
That was like that was, um there was a, this is gonna sound a little bit cringy, but no, there was this, like, kind of a real intimacy when you were putting together a mixtape. Now, I mean, the cliche one is, "Oh, I'm," the mixtape for the girlfriend or the boyfriend or what have you. But no, sometimes just putting together a mixtape for, for a buddy. I had a friend of mine who actually was actually, in the Gulf was in the Gulf War in 91. And yeah, and I put together this tape for him, which had some just like some like some obvious stuff like like U2 off of their War album, but also Midnight Oil, Forgotten
oh
Years,
yeah,
things that had like some
are you
kind of
trying to get him to leave to do that to go AWOL?
wall.
It's like,
But yeah, no, it makes you like try to like uh, it marries your musical interests with things of this is my friend and what are some of the things he likes and what's he going through, and you just kind of put them together. And when you're actually reaching for a 45 or a record, a full a full 33 and a third, uh it's a it's a different experience of it, putting that in, and then, as you said, queuing up the cassette. Nowadays, you can put together together a playlist in 5 minutes or so, because everything's on Spotify or Apple or online, or however you want.
yeah. Yeah, and in high school, I didn't personally make the mixtapes. I had my younger brother make the CDs. So,
Oh
I
yeah,
I
it's like running a CD. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he would burn them, right, exactly, and I was thinking about the other day because I still have them. I was, like, cleaning out my office, so I have, like 10 or so mixes. And on the back, everything's printed out, like the artist and the song and, which track it is. And I was such a like an OCD asshole older brother that if my bro because he had to make those too. He had to like type out he had to type out the titles. And if there was a spelling error, I'd make him do it again. What a dick. What a dick. Here's the kid the one kid in our household who, like, knew how to really use a computer, was helping his brother out making mixtapes, 10 out of 10 were all make out or, at least, some of them third base, mixtapes. Uh,
Your brother is helping you get it, helping you get laid, and
yeah,
you're treating him like crap by saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is it's I before E, not except after C."
yeah. It's like, how do you expect me to get a hand job when you can't spell correctly, when you're getting Duran, spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
Um,
Duran. It has it's one R in each name. It's not two R's.
exactly. It's not, I just wonder if Roberto Duran was 2 R's, but I think it
Roberto Duran was also one R as well. Yes.
yeah. Oh,
Uh,
that would have been a good, that could be a cover band, right?
you, you, you,
Roberto Duran.
Roberto Duran.
So I came across him. I had no idea, how much of a '80s aficionado you were until I came across, just again, the algorithm just fed me a familiar face on a New York street corner with this other guy. And yeah, can you say what the series is? And
Yeah. So the online show is called Trackstar, and the way I communicate it to some of our older Gen X types is it's sort of like a 21st century version of Name That Tune, except you have the host is this guy named Jack Coyne, who I believe I think he identifies as a millennial, and they initially, when it first started about 2.5 years ago, was basically finding average New Yorkers on the street and asking them what their favorite music genre is, and then saying, "Well, we'll play this. We'll play a song. You get $5, and then it doubles. It doubles exponentially for each one you get." And so that's basically what they did, I think, for about a year or so, and then it really it really caught on, and celebrities kind of got involved in it, and so it's kind of now it's expanded. They still do the man on the street, which I was able to take advantage of, but it's now expanded to where they have more extended conversations with different celebrities, politicians. You've got Maya Rudolph and Zoran Mamdani have done it as well, and so during the summer, I discovered it about a year or so ago, and it was just a great way to sometimes pass away the time when you're on the subway or just walking around, and the way it's set up, when it shows up on your Instagram, Jack will play the song. The person is supposed to, identify the artist. They don't even have to identify the song; they just have to identify the artist. But the viewer um, is here. Well, the viewer hears the song, but also sees a blurred image of the album.
Right.
So if you're the viewer and you're playing along with it, you get an added clue that the contestant doesn't get. So if it's like a famous cover like Prince's Purple Rain, where he's on the bike and that kind of stuff, and you hear this, that it's yeah, it has to be Prince because I can recognize it. I can recognize the album. But if you're the contestant, you don't have that. You don't quite have that clue. So during the summer, they put a little note on their Instagram saying, "Oh, if you're interested, send us your information, and we'll reach out to you, and tell us some of your favorite music, and we'll let you know." So I did it, and they emailed me, and so middle of August, I think August 15th, as a matter of fact, yeah. I was down at was it Great Jones Street, which I'm not quite
Mhm.
sure is considered. Is that considered the
Noli
village?
is it Nolita?
Maybe
North
the
of
Lido, the
Yeah, I
village,
think so.
and that's where their offices are. And we hung out there on the street. I told them I was really into new wave, post punk,
Mhm.
late '70s, early '80s stuff, and I. I frankly, darn it, I kicked ass. I just
I think you got I mean, from what I saw, I think you got everyone.
yeah, absolutely, until the very end when they finally stumped me on, gosh, now I'm having a senior moment.
Some bullshit band.
From Scotland, which is going to the Associates. That's right. But yeah, no, it was a great experience, and the most endearing thing about it, I was, as I said to Jack at the beginning of the recording, Jack Coyne, I said, uh, uh, what he asked, he says, "Oh, what are your expectations?" And he said, well, I said, well, I'm hoping not to embarrass myself because,
Mm.
I don't want to just flame out after one or two songs. Uh, no, but what was kind of I had a great time with it, and the response on both YouTube and Instagram and TikTok was incredibly effusive. We live in a very cynical era, and sometimes the most endearing online stories, you start going into the comments,
Oh, yes.
and the ugliness comes out everywhere. It says, "Oh my God!" But not this time. Everybody was like, they loved the fact that not only did I know the band, but my my trivia knowledge was so good that I was able to throw in little tidbits, like such as the fact that Duran Duran is named after the character in the Jane Fonda movie Barbarella, and so I guess threw things at that, or the fact that the Greg Kihn band, who had the song Jeopardy. Uh, his last name is Kihn, K-I-H-N, and every one of his albums is a pun on his name.
Oh,
So I
did
threw
you
those.
hear do they have the song, "We just broke up about an hour ago"? Yeah, that's a great
That
song.
was them too. Yeah, yeah, and Jeopardy. Our Loves in Jeopardy was famously covered by Weird Al and turned into I Lost on Jeopardy, which is like one of his, one of his classics. But yeah, everybody in the comment section was just like really effusive, and it was just it put me in a nice high for several weeks afterwards.
Well, it's
Or
funny because
yeah, I think the initial the long version on YouTube has about 80,000 views, and the shorter version, like the minute clip, has about like 800,000, which is insane. Like,
well for the for a series, I mean, I'm sure I had passed it before, but once I watched yours, then I saw, Ethan Hawke, I
yeah,
saw Cameron Crowe. So,
really
talking about, like,
it's a whole long,
so
but
I think
ugly.
yeah, so what I think should happen is, I think you need to bring a little bit of ugliness, and you need to get in the comment section and challenge all those guys and say, "You don't know shit about music. This is Robert George's game," and just take it to them, just take it to them directly. Be like, "Ethan Hawke, man, Reality Bites, it's a great soundtrack, but I know more about music than you do."
Well, it's funny you mentioned Reality Bites, because one of the songs that was on my appearance was My Sharona by the Knack, and
Mm. I remember that scene in,
absolutely. Well, in somewhere in the middle of my segment, Jack is like throwing out like one song after another, one song after another, and I'm not getting stumped, and he says something like, if you get this, you get this next one, you're the host of the show. I'm retiring, and of course I get the next couple. I'm actually thinking of like you're doing like another reminder post on Instagram and saying, so Jack, when do we start co-hosting?
yeah. Well, what's kind of, it was kind of amazing is that, uh the level of knowledge that you have, the fact that you're not an idiot savant is pretty amazing.
Oh,
I mean
some would say that I am an idiot. So maybe I am.
right, but not the second part, but I mean, to have, just to have all that knowledge at your, at your fingertips and just, is great. And also it's, uh, I don't and it's not that I think I was born in the wrong era. I was born in '82, but I have such an affinity for just that music, the '80s, especially like new wave and like you said, like post-punk and, it's just some of the best stuff.
So 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 82, that really puts you, so technically, so you are a millennial. So
I think I'm the old
like,
millennial.
you're an old millennial. You're an
Yeah.
old millennial. So you have a little bit of overlap of that, of the Gen X, of the Gen X, of the younger Gen X type as well.
Yeah, so my 2 older brothers, my oldest brother's 12 years older than I am, and the other one is 8 years. So, uh, I was listening to whatever music they had. So, I heard Morrissey through my brother Chris had like a Morrissey album, and, the rock stuff I heard, from my older brothers too. Uh, and yeah, it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm starting to wonder if everything that I'm kind of seeing now is kind of just straight nostalgia tripping. Seems like everything that I'm being fed is just stuff from when I was younger, and I'm like, am I am I purposefully seeking it out, or is the algorithm feeding it to me?
The algorithm will find you.
Yeah,
And, eh, well, well, I think part of it is that, um, I think there's something instinctive. People are instinctively realizing that. the society, the current status is falling apart,
Mm.
and there's like a feeling of safety and comfort in in what we were listening to and what we were doing in our in our teen years, in our 20s, in our 30s. Well, for me in my 30s, 30s was just a few years ago for you. But it was just actually it was just yeah 3 or 4 years ago for you. So yeah, and music is one of the things that just really does, generally speaking, bring people together. Though even that, there's a sense that now, as we move more into less melodic type of era, and with more rhythmic and so forth, the older generations can't deal with you know uh, can't deal with the hip hop, can't deal with the rap, can't deal with the trap, and the trap and the schmap and all the other these other kind of these other kind of things. But yeah, so we are being I think we are being the algorithm recognizes that uh, that nostalgic vibe, and takes advantage of it.
Yeah. But recently I came across, there's a band called, Deftones, and I don't know if you ever got into that, but
Yeah, no, I could not tell you a song or two, but no, I remember the band, and if they play a song, you say, "Oh, yeah, that was them," right? Yeah.
yeah. So they have an album called, Around the Fur, which came out in, like, the '90s. I don't know if it came out, like, '95 or '96 or something like that, but, uh, I played that album, I think it was, like, 6 months straight, just on repeat, start to finish, just over and over and over, like, so much of they were just such a big part of my consciousness, and, on the cover, they have a really kind of famous cover of a girl in underwear, like, outside, but she's, sitting, like, in a hot tub, and it's like a fishbowl lens, and the shot is like her, looking up or out or something like that.
It was clearly the music that attracted you.
Yeah, 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 exactly. It's a great cover,
So
especially if you're a young boy.
5 you so you were like, yeah, 13, yeah, it was
13, yeah. And, they did this really cool thing. There's a thing called Jenkem. They have a YouTube channel, and I'll put, like, links to it, and they track down the model, the girl who was on this cover, and you get to see her now. And it was, kind of this elaborate affair of tracking her down. Well, how elaborate, I don't know. But, the guy who took the picture is one of the guys who worked on the show Jackass. They interviewed him, and they took the picture in Seattle, and they found her, in Seattle, and, she's a mom now, and it was just, I don't know, it was really cool. I watched that, last night right before bed.
Well, no, there's like a little sort of a subgenre of uh, identifying the individuals that are either on covers, either on album covers, as we used to say, album covers, or in videos. R.I.P. MTV as of a week ago. So you had well, the woman in the white, was it Tawny Katane, I
Mhm.
think was the model in
Was
the
it
white
White?
sneak video on top of the car, and so forth. And you've got you get these kind of wear, and of course you've got the guy that is that sued Nirvana because he was the naked baby on the cover of the cover of
Right.
Nevermind. And yeah, so there's a little bit of there are all these, like, where are they now, what are they doing, and how normal or how screwed up are they in their current existence.
Yeah, what was the lawsuit for the Nirvana cover based on? I know it was a naked baby in the water, right? In the pool?
Yeah, so if memory serves, the band or the band's manager or agent, whoever, uh, paid the kid's parents like a flat fee, and they took the pictures, and the guy who is now, let's see, so Nevermind came out in 91, so that was 30 years ago. So yeah, he's in his mid-30s now, and he says that he's suffering from trauma
Mm.
from the from having literally been exposed at a young age and not having any say in the matter, and so forth. And the band has gone back and forth saying, well, a few years ago you were doing something, almost promoting it and advertising yourself about it, and you didn't have a problem with it then, but now you're coming back at this. And
And just so everybody knows, the guy grew up. He no longer looks like that baby.
he no longer looks like that baby. And 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 not to be dismissive or anything like that. I'm assuming that he developed normally, and he doesn't have to worry about the size of his parts. But this is the world in which we live. As we were saying before, we cannot have we cannot have nice things.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I'm just imagining, like, at all those, like, fan expos and stuff, like, would there be anybody who'd wanna pay him to, like, sign, their album cover? I'm sure there's some people. I'm sure that he could make some money out of it, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure. Uh, if he's really smart, he could do like a before and after.
Yeah,
That's what I was then. Would you like to see me now?
yeah. I imagine he could get some money out of Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl seems like the kinda guy who'd throw a few bucks. I don't know. Courtney Love, though, I don't think he can
No,
get that far.
no, you don't want to go anywhere near that one. Not at all. Not at all.
Robert, here's like a change of pace. I was at a New Year's Day party at the start of this year, and I saw someone there. We had gone to an event. I brought my wife. I'm not going to say where the event was. Keep that hush hush. But it was an event at a really nice place. A man's really nice like
Was it the,
townhouse.
was it the Trump Kennedy Center, Lou? You can tell me.
Wherever we were, Robert, there was a woman who got up to speak at a party, and she made a pitch that I believe it was Saint Augustine, that who she wanted to be wanted his sainthood stripped like that. Do you remember that? Do you remember that party? It was a kind of crazy woman. She got up and gave like this speech, this impassioned speech about how Saint Augustine was I believe, anti-Semite, et cetera, et cetera.
Wait, was it? Wait, are you talking about are you talking about the New Year's party? Or are you talking about the event the event that we were at?
The event we were at. So another member. Yeah, I'm sorry if I was confusing. So another guest at this party was also at that party, and I reminisced with him about, like, hey, do you remember when that crazy bitch got up and started saying that?
No, I remember. I was really and I went to St. John's College in Annapolis, which, despite its name, does not have any religious affiliation, but it is the premier great books institution in the country. We've got one campus in Annapolis and another campus out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Saint Augustine is on the program, and one of the great thinkers in Christendom, and so forth. And yeah, that was like really strange. And but this is one of the benefits, if you will, of living in a free society like the United States, is that you have outlier opinions, and we can also call them batshit crazy opinions. But let's just since it's the beginning of the new year, we're gonna say positive and say nice things. So outlier opinions on just about anything. And so there are those people who have issues with St. Augustine. And so such as it
Well,
is.
it was, I enjoy awkward, awkward scenarios like that. But what was interesting about it is like, uh, this party was, secular, a lot of people there from all over, New York City. And when she got up and started, saying what she was saying, I had no idea there were so many Catholics in the audience who got up and started, well, not got up, but from their seats were like, "It's bullshit. What you're saying is bullshit."
Yeah. Well, no,
We're here. We're being very polite right now.
uh, well, let's keep in mind, well, I think until Gorsuch came on, the Supreme Court was either it was all Jews and Catholics,
Mm.
and so uh, we Catholics we Catholics are uh, we're both we can be both rude and crude, but we can also be quite intellectual. We've got the Jesuit faction. In fact, my first my first high school in California was a Jesuit senior prep in Sacramento. So I've got a little bit of the Jesuit, the Jesuit DNA coursing through this space. But yeah, and of course in New York, with the Italians and the Irish and the West Indians like me, yeah, you got the Catholics. The Catholics do represent.
Yeah. I went to Catholic high school, and I believe they were mostly Marist brothers. But my
Mm.
favorite teacher he was the lone Franciscan monk, and he was fantastic. He's no longer a Franciscan, but going back 25 years. Yeah, he was
Did he
excellent for sure.
did he leave the order or did he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he felt like he didn't do.
He's no longer a priest.
Well, he was a brother.
He's no longer a brother. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not black. He's not one of a brother in that.
He's a brother.
Yeah, apparently that's really you can't leave that behind. Even if someone takes your black card, you're still a brother. But yeah,
No longer dressed in. He's no longer dressed in black, but
right,
he's no longer a brother.
exactly. So yeah, I've been a very lapsed Catholic for a long time, and yeah, I've just been kind of getting back into thinking about it and whatnot. And one of the things that I was thinking about, this probably sounds more like a bit than anything, is like I wonder, like there's so many Catholic saints. I wonder if they ever kind of get a little like annoyed with each other in that like, oh, everybody's favorite saint is Saint Anthony. Wow, Saint Anthony. Meanwhile, like Saint like, Saint Bartholomew, it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or, "I'm sorry I can't help you find, like, your lost keys. I was just beheaded trying to bring Christianity to Armenians." What,
Yeah, they only think about me when they're on vacation, and they shrink it to Saint Bart's.
Right, right, exactly, like, that's like, why couldn't an island be named after someone, like, a saint who was brutally murdered, and set on fire? Like, what is this? So I wonder if there's
Let's not get into what happened to Saint Valentine's. I mean, let's see. No,
Yeah, yeah, hold on, my wife needs me to open her garage door. Well, we're talking about New York, and we're starting the new year with New York as a new mayor and a new team coming in, and you're a New York guy. How has your life changed over the past however many days of 2026 under
but
the new mayor?
so far, knock wood. So far, the socialist paradise is doing okay. Where I live up in I live up in the in Washington Heights, in northern part of Manhattan, not too far from the George Washington Bridge. So if so, when the paradise starts, becoming more uh, uh, of a of an apocalypse, I'm really close to the bridge and can just like run over to New Jersey.
Just going to Jersey. Yeah.
Going over to Jersey, I'm gonna be knocking on your door. Lou, let me in, let me in. Uh, so so far so good. We've uh, the I don't know whether it's a blip or not. The one of his appointments. This so I don't know if she's her name is Sia Weaver.
Sia
And I
Weaver. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know whether I can't quite remember whether she is in charge of, like, the tenant house.
She's like, yeah, tenant something, yeah, like an advocate for tenants.
Somebody, discovered these, these Twitter posts of hers from the 2018s and 19s, and also actually not just posts, but video as well,
Right.
sharing sharing the view that that home ownership is basically a tool of white supremacy, and this is true, by the way, regardless of the race of the homeowner. So even so, black and Latino uh, homeowners who maybe recent immigrants, or for that matter may have been here for many many years and have done their hard work and have a nice place bought a place in Brooklyn or Queens or what have you. Uh, they are tools of white supremacy, and home ownership should not just be discouraged, but there should the powers of the state should be exercised to try and take away those homes and redistribute them in a different way. So and then she also talked about how they are going to be sort of focusing on uh, uh, the takings will be focusing on the uh, more the wealthier and whiter neighborhoods. That was actually that was the only one of the very few missteps Mamdani had in his campaign was when that part actually ended up in one of their press releases, and they
Mm.
realized, oh,
Oh,
we,
shit.
we said the quiet part out loud. but but anyway, yeah, this Sia Weaver may turn out to be um, maybe turn out to be a distraction that within the next few days or weeks or week or two, the mayor may decide that her talents might be better used elsewhere. But
Well,
we'll
it's the
see.
thing. Yeah, it's, there's a number of things, to unpack there. One, I would love to see this little white girl from Rochester, New York, go door to door to black, brown homeowners and explain to them, yeah, we need to take your shit because this is white supremacy. So that's going to be a tough thing there. Um, well, one thing too that she had pushed in one of her tweets was talking about how what you often hear, like people who are in favor of rent control will often pretend as though rent control has no impact on property value, or at least negligible, right? And she comes right out and says, like, no, rent control, yes, it will lower the value of real estate, and it's a good thing because then the state can take over that real estate. So
And
I'm
and
I, yeah.
and full disclosure, I live in a rent stabilized apartment. So when the mayor, puts his rent freeze, his rent freeze on rent stabilized apartments, I will be outraged from a philosophical perspective. But what
Your
are you gonna
pocket.
do? What are you gonna do? I'm so sorry, my rent's not gonna go up. darn, darn you, Zoran, Mom Donnie, how could you come up
Right.
with such a stupid idea?
So Sia Weaver, she's nuked like her her Twitter, she's nuked her Facebook,
She
and gotten
nuked
rid of.
it. She nuked it. She nuked it on January 1st, right after she was announced in this new position. Because
Yeah.
now I don't know whether that was her idea or whether somebody said, this could be a problem, so so clean this up. But it doesn't look too good.
Yeah, and and there are people like, coming to her defense and saying like, "Oh, some of these tweets are from however many years back." But it's like, no, but this is what she believes. This is what she actually believes. This is what the mayor actually believes. And there's, so if we talk about, what works, pragmatically, or what is going to help somebody get into office, okay, that's a different question than what do they actually believe and what is the world that they would like to see. She wants to see a world where there is no, property, at least when it comes to housing. The mayor is also in that boat too. He'd rather there not be, private property. He wants to
And,
collectivize the warmth of collectivism.
and let's not forget the chef's kiss on this. Sia Weaver's mother owns a house in Tennessee that is worth, I believe, $1.3 million. So what her mom is obviously exercising exercising her white supremacist stuff down in Tennessee.
Yeah, and it's and the hypocrisy is there. I mean, her dad is up in Rochester. I believe he definitely owns stuff as well. She has railed against gentrifiers. Gentrification being another example of white supremacy. It's like you're from Rochester. You're from Rochester, bitch. Like, and now you're in New York. Go back to Rochester.
The gentrification a as white supremacy, that in the context of New York, that's not crazy. I mean, we may not like it from a philosophical perspective, but generally speaking, most people think when they think of gentrifiers, they think of white people moving into brown neighborhoods and taking them over. So that has been part of the conversation for a while. But expanding it to this notion that that home ownership in and of itself is a tool of white supremacy. We're what's that phrase? We're expanding the Overton window
Yeah.
in a not too great way.
Yeah. And something too that you often hear, when it comes to people of color is, the lack of, generational wealth, right? And how important it is to build generational wealth. Well, one of the ways that you build generational wealth is by actually owning shit, by actually owning a home, owning an apartment, et cetera. So it's, I just don't know what this world looks like in her head. I definitely don't want it. But at least there are some people, at least on her side, being honest about it.
My friend, my friend, Jason Riley. Well, my friend and doppelganger.
I was about to say, do you guys ever get confused?
Well, no, Jason. We've been joking about it for years, and Jason finally wrote a piece, a light a piece over the holidays for the Wall Street Journal about constantly us getting constantly confused with one another, and the best one would be which was I shared with him an event that the Manhattan Institute is throwing on the Upper East Side. I'm invited and I go in, and the person at the door is checking people in, and he sees me and he said, "Oh, hey, how's it? Hey, how's it going? So when are you finally going to make Naomi an honest woman?" And Naomi was Jason's fiance. And I said to this person, I said, "Well, I don't know, but probably should check with Jason first." So anyway, I got on a digression there, but he has he's written several books, and
Oh
one
yeah,
of them,
stop trying to help us, right? Or stop helping us.
yeah, stop helping us, exactly. Where he talks about how the as well intentioned as many progressives might be, their ideas on how to improve minority life could very well do a rethinking, because they, if anything, they undermine, say, efforts for home ownership and independence, and because they say, oh, we're from the government, we're here to help you. So, thanks,
Yeah.
no
Yeah, and
thanks.
it seems like another one of those, luxury beliefs, as Rob Henderson puts it. It's sort of like, if you wanna go far in life, you probably wanna do what C.O. Weaver's parents did, if you're able, you could provide an incredible life for your kids and, I'm sure the tax man, et cetera. And just, uh, yeah. But,
So, well, yeah, but it's certainly going to be an interesting experiment, and uh, it's, well, so far. I mean, we are 1 week, we are one week into the Mamdani experiment, and yesterday he had a press conference with Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner, talking about the thankfully almost record low murder numbers and shootings for 2024, and he says, he doesn't want to mess with a good thing, because he realized he's a I may disagree with him ideologically, but he's a smart. I think he's a smart politician in terms of tactics and strategy, and so forth. Ideology, yeah, we'll put that aside. And he realizes that he's not going to do. There's no way his socialist experiment is going to be successful if if people don't feel safe,
yeah.
if the crime rate starts to tick up, if we start having a couple of crazy person incidents on the subway and so forth. And so it's to his benefit, and to his overall vision for the streets in the city and the subways to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, if murder was to go up, yeah, I mean, there's no yeah, it's like as far as it's not a good look,
Well,
so
no, 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 no. It's not just a good look. It's not just not a good look. It's actually, it's a really, really bad thing,
I'm
particularly.
more concerned about looks. That's all I care. One thing I wanna talk to you about, I meant to bring this up when we were talking about music. I recently watched, there's this, documentary on HBO, about Jeff Buckley. Did you listen to Jeff Buckley back in the days?
Well, I mean, he only had the one album,
Yeah.
and Hallelujah has been on basically, uh, uh, I would say 60 or 70% of the movies produced over the last 30 years. It is what it is. I have not seen that documentary, but it's always been kind of interesting, because um, his father Tim, who was a folk rocker in the late '60s, early '70s, he died at a young age
Yeah, I was
as
like
well.
28 as well from, he OD'd, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, shortly after Jeff was born. So there's this like kind of this existential tragedy with this, where you've got a you know young artist dies, leaves a baby who, obviously growing up without his father.
Oh, he was a little older though, like, he was like, I think maybe like 8 or something like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah, young,
But
yeah,
but still, 8 year
yeah,
old,
you're right.
but still growing up
Right.
losing your father. In certain ways, that's almost even worse. It's
Right. Having known him, yeah.
having actually known him, and then he's no longer there, and he manages to you know partly, I guess, inherit some of his father's musical proclivities and genius and so forth, and then ends up dying almost at the same age as his father. So I mean, it's almost it's almost Greek tragedy kind of level. But yeah, no, but is that Netflix?
It's HBO, so I think it might be on HBO Max. Yeah, and yeah, and I think it falls into kind of that kind of nostalgia tripping because Jeff Buckley, what's it? I think I might have. Was it The Last Goodbye? Might have been on one of my makeout mixes for sure. Um, Holly, like, yeah, if there are two songs that have just been covered to death, it's Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen, and Imagine, John Lennon. Like, I don't think we need any. Do we need any more of those?
I don't. So like a number of people, I went through um a reassessment of Imagine, because I was old enough that when John Lennon was assassinated, it was kind of like a big deal around my friends and my friends and stuff, and so at in as a kid and a high school. Oh, imagine it's this great utopian kind of a song,
Mhm.
and then as I get older, I'm thinking, oh my god, this is actually like a really um, cringy utopian song, and you might like this. I made this observation on X Twitter that um, imagine um, Imagine is the Woodrow Wilson of pop music. One time was, oh well, he was he helped he won World War I, and then tried to create the League of Nations, and had this had this progressive
Princeton man. He was a
Princeton
Princeton man.
man.
Yeah.
And so we had there was this one era where Woodrow Wilson was, seen as this great president, great individual, and so forth. And then over the last couple of decades, and it's actually unusual uh, for the most part. Um, for the most part, in history, the a president's record stands pretty stagnant. Stands pretty stable over the. You figure out what the warts are, what the positive things are, and it kind of stays. So you'll say that obviously Washington is Washington. You say Andrew Johnson absolutely awful after Lincoln, all these kind of things. But Woodrow Wilson was once seen as like a really great good president. And then over the last couple of decades, the people had this real reassessment of him, and they realized, oh, he was the guy who tried to bring the Confederacy back into the White House.
Right.
He reinstituted Jim Crow in Washington D.C., resegregated the White House, had a viewing party for Birth of a Nation in the. I mean, really awful stuff. And they said, oh, Woodrow, and now the consensus is that Woodrow Wilson is one of the worst presidents, and it's a consensus that both the left and the right have basically have come to. And so similarly, in in the early 70s,
Bringing it back. Bringing it back.
bringing back, yeah, imagine all the people living for today. Oh, how beautiful that is. I said, oh, yeah, right. Let's get religion out of everything. And oh yeah, living today for today. Don't even think about the future or anything like that. Anything like that. No, oh yeah, this is actually pretty awful. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that some of John Lennon's other stuff, still holds up. It most definitely does, including, I will say, it is a little bit cringy, but I still love Happy Christmas, War is over. But yeah, no, but Imagine has been, pushed to the dustbin of history along with Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah. Well, to be fair to Lennon, he did have that other song where he shat on, Chairman Mao, which was nice. Uh, he's a
No,
really yeah,
no, yeah, no. No, Lennon, he had the utopian progressive leanings, but he also did have a um a cynical aspect to his personality that afforded him some skepticism of radical politics, which is a which is a good thing.
right on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed my radical friend, Robert Robert George. Robert, where can people, keep up with all your work?
Okie dokie. Yeah. So I still maintain a spot on the hellscape that is X Twitter. You can also find me. I've got two accounts on Instagram, Robert George Comedy, where you can find me promoting shows. I've got a show coming up in February at the Grizzly Pear in Midtown on February 5th. And you can also, so yeah, that's at Robert George Comedy, and also Rob George 29, which is where often post my non-comedy stuff, political observations, music observations, that kind of stuff. And I also have a Substack which I've been very lazy with updating it over the last couple of months, and in the next day or two, I'm going to be throwing myself into because I've got a few things to get off of my chest. Let's put it that way.
There we go.